So I just watched Disney's Artemis Fowl, and wow, what a surprise. It was really, really bad. This is from director Kenneth Branagh, who has kind of an interesting filmography. His previous works include several Shakespearean adaptations that are all supposed to be pretty faithful. I quite enjoyed his Hamlet adaptation that he also starred in, and I wouldn't mind seeing his others. But eventually he started directing films like Thor, Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit, Cinderella 2015, and the most boring movie of all time, Murder on the Orient Express. His newest film, Artemis Fowl, is an adaptation of a young adult fantasy novel from 2001, and I actually read it when I was younger, although I didn't retain all that much of it, so I couldn't even tell you if the problems with this film are with the source material or not. Either way, it is a movie that just plain doesn't work. Overall, it is incredibly cliched and doesn't have much of its own personality. The film even opens up with a news montage intro, and the intro takes place at the end of the film's timeline as one of those, ooh, I bet you're interested in how this happened sort of things. It's two cliches in one. And even with this film being so bland and uninspired, it probably still could have been somewhat well received, but the biggest issue is that it did not cover the absolute most basic necessities of storytelling. There are several scenes of exposition that feel identical to just any other run-of-the-mill young adult fantasy movie, but it's so much worse because the film doesn't do anything to get you to care about what's going on. There are zero likable characters in this movie, so it's really difficult to give a shit about anything. The main character is just so annoying and obnoxious, and the film plays it off as though he's, like, cool or something. It really doesn't help that the performances also suck.
All I really want is to believe in you.
Okay.
What? Who is this? Is this a hoax? If you have my father, I want proof. You can't win! We'll see about that.
The action scenes were really lame and unspecial. It tried super hard to be epic, but just wound up giving me Jupiter Ascending vibes. At points, the action scenes felt like they were from Aquaman, but just much worse. All of the jokes were incredibly unfunny. The only really funny parts of the movie were completely unintentional. They're constantly talking about fairies in this movie, but because of their Irish accents, it sounds like they're talking about furries.
It's like the whole world is ending.
The fairies are doing it.
Fairies and humans are incapable of friendship.
Has anyone ever told you you're like David Bowie? If David Bowie were a fairy?
There's also that really weird clip that Saberspark posted on Twitter where Mulch Diggums contorts his jaw and then says, "It's feeding time," and then poops out a bunch of dirt. I don't know if that was supposed to be funny or not. It was just really disturbing, and I don't think that was supposed to be the intended effect. The plot was super uninteresting and generic. There was really nothing to latch onto here, so it just felt like a nothing movie. The score for the film wasn't bad on its own, but there was nothing to justify the emotions it was forcing into the film. Oh no, a fake death scene. It's really sad now. Don't you care all of a sudden? These characters were just so important and memorable and special. I bet you loved them so much. This film is also incredibly stagnant. It's an hour and a half long, and with all of this implied fantasy bullshit going on, you'd think that they would have more than 3 locations. By the end of the film, it didn't really feel like there was any kind of journey. The characters didn't really grow or develop. It was kind of just setting itself up for a sequel, I guess. The entire movie just felt like a really long first act. The end of the movie is where it feels as though things should start to be happening, but it just ends. Great job, you did it, I guess. Now, some people are calling this the worst Disney movie ever, and although I haven't seen every Disney movie ever, I would still say that A Wrinkle in Time was worse than this, mostly because it was 20 minutes longer and thus much more boring. Still, being slightly better than A Wrinkle in Time is not very much of an achievement at all. I would not recommend watching this at all. It is definitely not worth it. Disney does not need more money, so if you feel compelled, just use a friend's Disney Plus account or something. It was really bad, and I'm gonna forget about it soon. And I'm giving this one a 1 out of 10.